speaker today, our speaker today is Dr. Mariam Swale. There'd be so much to say about Dr. Mariam Swale and all her contributions, specifically within CDR and even with a greater focus on MCDR. Dr. Mariam is currently the lead at Ufukwe Marine Center, Ocean Climate Innovation Hub, Kenya. She is also the assistant registrar when it comes to research and grants at the Technical University of Mombasa. She's had representation. She's represented Africa across the globe when it comes to matters to do with the CDR, to do with our oceans as well. So she has vast experience when it comes to the field. And today, she'll be taking us through building Africa as a global CDR hub, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Mariam Maku Swale. Right before she comes in, I just want to ask that if you have any questions, put them in the chat as we're going along, so that when we get to the beat where we will be asking questions, we'll be able to turn to chat and ensure that each and every one of your questions is answered. So thank you for clapping for me. The claps you've done, those are for me. Now let us actually clap for Dr. Mariam Swale. Yes, thank you so much. Dr. Mariam, over to you.
Hi. Thank you for the introduction, Elijah. That was so, that was such a very good introduction. I'm happy to be here, and I hope we get to learn something together. And so my I'm going to share my screen. So first of all, thank you for all of you for joining this session, and also thank you for Emerging Climate Frontiers for inviting me to give this talk. It is an honor. I know there are so many people who are doing great work in Africa as far as CDR is concerned. So basically what I'm going to do today is to look at the different CDR technologies, what opportunities are there in Africa, and how can we benefit from that. So basically the whole idea is about reframing the narrative, especially for African countries where most of these techniques are new, and there's still so many gaps as far as CDR is concerned. So why is CDR important for African countries? First of all, there's a lot of challenges in African countries when it comes to climate change impacts, high desertification, sea level rise, name it, loss of biodiversity. So there are so many challenges, and it's affecting everywhere. And it's not just specific areas, whether it's on the land or on the ocean. And as this image here is showing you like the level of impacts for different countries, the different types of impacts per country, or how many countries are affected, or how many, and what is the level of impact for the different for these different climate impacts, the flood, the drought. It depends on where you are. So this clearly shows that there's a gap when it comes to how we are addressing climate change, and what issues are to be addressed And the other thing to look at is the number of people who are being affected by this. But when we are going through this, I want us to look at all of these challenges as opportunities, not as just challenges or we are suffering, but these are opportunities to explore carbon dioxide removal. So because of climate change, two things have been happening so far to mitigate climate change. Either to reduce emissions by coming up with products that will reduce the impact of climate change, or to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions. There are many ways, like green shipping or producing bioplastics instead of plastics made from petroleum. Then the other way that we are going to focus on today is carbon dioxide removal. So what is this carbon dioxide removal? This is anthropogenic techniques, meaning it's human intervention to remove carbon dioxide. Naturally, carbon dioxide is removed through, for example, photosynthesis in plants, or the ocean is a natural carbon sink. So that's natural. But CDR is when you have human intervention or anthropogenic activities that lead to the removal of carbon dioxide. So it can be either biological or geochemical processes, or it can include techniques like direct air capture and storage. So why are people looking at CDR? Basically, it's because we need to address the issues of climate change, and we cannot rely on one thing only. And so this CDR has become a key technique for reducing emissions and for removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, which has been accepted. So maybe before we go on, I want us to answer a poll question on what is Africa's greatest competitive advantage for CDR market? Because before we go on to the different forms of CDR that are available in Africa, what makes it suitable for CDR? Is it because we have abundance? Oh, sorry. I can see they sent a poll for a different question. So we'll just answer the poll that is shared on the screen. So, yeah, great question. Thank you for sharing the right poll. So what is Africa's competitive advantage in CDR market? Like, is it because we have very vast land and nature? Is it because we have access to renewable energy? What do you think if you think about this, like what do you think is the thing that makes African countries to have an advantage compared to other countries of the world? So, hmm, so African countries, first of all, we need to understand, we already know that they have vast land for sinking carbon dioxide, vast forests, vast energy profiles, and also a lot of African countries are still developing. there's that potential to grow. African countries have potential to grow. So it is a hub for growth for CDR technologies. So carbon dioxide removal in Africa, we're going to look at what are the different carbon dioxide removal in Africa that have been done so far for the last more than 20 or 30 years, or since before maybe some of us were born, what technologies have people adapted for carbon dioxide removal? So first of all, the obvious one is afforestation, which is also creating an opportunity for so many people at the moment. And one example is the Great Green Wall, and this is an initiative uh, that aims to plant 15 billion trees to restore carbon dioxide. Then there's the marine CDR technologies, which is very important and currently some of these technologies are emerging. So like mangrove restoration has been has really, I would say, developed over the years. For example, like in Kenya, we have Mikoko Pamoja project, which is known worldwide for one, engaging community in the process of restoration, and also benefit sharing of credits or benefit sharing of whatever benefits that are coming out of it. And the very new technologies that I see as opportunities for Africans to explore are ocean alkalinity enhancement. That's what is written here as OAE, and seaweed sinking. It's also a technique that can be explored. There are so many other techniques. I just highlighted the two. But one, you need to understand what are these techniques, and what benefits do they have. So, for example, this is an image that shows the different carbon dioxide removal from the ocean, or marine carbon dioxide removal techniques. So if you look at this diagram, if we start here at the top, this is electrochemical ocean carbon dioxide removal. And then here we have restoring living blue caps. Then here you have deep sea storage. I'm going to explain a little bit about some of these techniques, but in relation to what benefits it has, or what opportunities are there for African countries. So initially I had told you about ocean alkalinity enhancement. This is the addition of alkaline materials into the ocean. And this technique is very good, especially for African countries where we have vast minerals. We have so many minerals that can be explored for alkalinity enhancement. And these are areas that have not yet been explored. How can we leverage the natural resources like minerals found along our coastlines to be able to be used for alkalinity enhancement? Then the other technique the other way this alkalinity enhancement can be used is in treatment plants, for example. Many treatment plants or wastewater treatment plants use alkalinity during their processes. So these are methods that are currently being explored for carbon dioxide removal. When this electrochemical technique, it's a bit, I'll say costly, but this is a very important technique when it comes to carbon dioxide removal because this, especially for African countries, we can see how we can leverage because this can be high energy intensive. So we can see how we can leverage our renewable energy potential to run some of these electrochemical carbon dioxide removal plants. Then the other one I see it can be of interest to some countries to explore is this microalgae cultivation. Microalgae are photosynthetic microorganisms. So this is basically what is known as ocean fertilization. But and studies have shown that it can support productivity in areas where there is low productivity. Then macroalgae cultivation and carbon sequestering. This is where you use seaweed or macroalgae. These are also photosynthetic plants. I'll give you an example of kelp blue. They use kelp is a form of macroalgae, and this is kelp blue is a project based in Namibia where they're growing this kelp, and then they harvest it, and so part of what they harvest, they use to support agriculture in their communities. But currently, they are looking at ways in which they can store that carbon that is harvested or that is found in the kelp. Another method that is of interest for African countries, which will create an opportunity for carbon dioxide removal, which is low cost and is also using waste that is found. A lot of African cities are generating a lot of waste. So how can we combat waste management with this huge problem of waste disposal with carbon dioxide removal? So biochar is a technique where you're converting the organic material to a char or into a carbon form, which stores that organic matter for years and years. So I've highlighted some of these companies. These are companies found in Africa. They're using different form of wastes. Some are using agricultural waste. Some are using waste from industry or industry that produce, for example, sugarcane industry. So how they're using that waste to convert it into biochar, and some of these companies are selling that biochar to farmers. One thing about carbon dioxide removal, especially in the context of African countries, it is important to look at how we can leverage carbon dioxide removal to support some of the problems or solve some of the problems that we are facing. For example, this is directly connected to food insecurity. This is an example from Stack Carbon. Stack Carbon is a company based here, based in Uganda, in Madagascar, and the Stack Carbon company using biochar and enhanced rock weathering to support small scale farmers, but at the same time capture carbon. So this is a very good example. The person who started Stack Carbon, one of the founders, is a very young man, and they are benefiting from the biochar, but also supporting their communities and also benefiting from the carbon credits from the carbon dioxide removal techniques. And apart from that, they are also solving a problem of the climate change crisis. The other techniques that are also pioneering, we here in Kenya, we have company that is specifically dealing with carbon dioxide gap capture, or we can say direct air capture, which is making use of the available renewable energy in Kenya. So these companies, this is also this company, for example, I have highlighted here. I'm going to spotlight Octavia Carbon. So Octavia Carbon is one of the companies that I've mentioned earlier that are focused on the use of energy that is renewable, readily available to run their plant. So their main technique is direct air capture of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and then injecting this carbon dioxide into the underground. So Octavia is working with Sela and to fix that carbon dioxide so that is stored under the ground. So this is a very important technique because one, it's supporting, it's 100% renewable. And secondly, it is supporting the local industry or electrical industry locally because once you have the demand of energy from the industry, it means it allows accessibility to of electrical energy to areas where normally they might not have access to electricity because one point or one value of industry is to improve the economy and to improve the lives of people. So direct Octavia is one big example because they are also earning credits for their carbon capture. So a question for the audience. Which CDR pathway holds the greatest potential for Africa economic growth? We've looked at nature-based solution. This is forestry. We've looked at marine CDR. We've looked at direct air capture and mineralization, as well as biochar. So I'll give you a moment to answer. So, another opportunity that I don't know, Elijah, are we able to know the poll results
Yes, would you want to know now or should we know much later?
if we can see now?
Okay.
So, according to the poll, 67% of the audience say that massive land and available natural uh, resources or is the you know is the greatest potential or competitive advantage for African countries. Some agree that blue carbon potential along coastlines. We have a lot of tech force in Africa, but none of you said renewable energy. And okay, I think it's a very important resource that we have. Then, which CDR pathway holds the greatest potential for African economic growth? So there's forestry, engineering, direct air capture, and hybrid models only. So which had 20 hybrid models using biochar agroforestry had 29%, forestry and soil carbon as 57%, and direct air capture as 14%. But marine CDR had the lowest. It will be good to know why. So,
Would you wish to perhaps hear comments on that?
yeah, yeah.
You would. All right. So let's take it to the audience. Let me just be on display as well. Okay, so let's take this to the audience, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you can tell us why you voted as you did. Remember, this is a learning session. Therefore, you can just give us your opinion. Do not worry about whether you are right or wrong. We just love to hear your opinion. We just love to hear your voice. So you can tell us why you voted as you did. Preferably, if you can speak in person, that would be wonderful. If you do not want to speak in person, you can also put it in chat so that we can see it. Why did you vote as you did? And it is also okay to just say, I was guessing, I was making random picks. It's okay. This is a learning session. Therefore, all those answers are acceptable. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed, let us at least get from one or two people why you voted as you did. This is a good point to say that as hosts we were unable to vote, so my vote is not there. Let's hear from Simon. Simon, your hand is up. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, Elijah. I don't know if I'm audible.
We can
Hello.
hear you, Simon. Proceed.
Okay, thank you. So can you kindly share the question, the two questions?
I think, Dr. Mariam, you are able to go on your slides for the question so that you can look at it again and comment.
Yeah, you've passed it. You've passed it.
It's
Yeah.
it's the second.
So
Okay. Simon, is it this question or the next
no,
one?
it's not. It's the next one. It's not this one.
Okay.
There. Thank you. So for the first question, I selected hybrid models, that's biochar and agroforestry, for which is the greatest CDR pathway that holds the greatest potential for African economic growth. I chose the hybrid model for biochar and agroforestry. So the reason I selected this is because Africa, most of the economic activities in African countries deals with agriculture, and in a way to ensure that the agricultural produce that farmers they will yield from their farms can be improved by the biochar. That's one of the reasons I selected biochar. So it will be a way of like reducing the carbon in the environment and also making the agriculture, improving agriculture. Yeah. And plus it's agroforestry, so it's both like agriculture and forestry.
Mhm.
Right.
Thank you for your answer. But do you know there are over 200 million people depending on the ocean worldwide? It would be good to also hear your views about, like, what do you think about marine CDR?
For the marine CDR, the reason I didn't select it is because first of all, I think the like projects around marine CDR, if you look at them like in the context of the African continent, they are first of all quite few. So it means that probably there's little awareness about the marine CDR compared to like the hybrid models. And yeah, I think that's the thinking I had on marine CDR.
Thank you for answering. Yes, sir.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Please excuse me if I'm unclear because I'm driving, but I just think this is a very interesting topic. I think when you're talking about Africa as a whole, it's a little bit difficult to generalize because every country is different and unique. And I think that CDR has to be context specific because I'm from South Africa and just thinking about my country, just my country. On the west coast here, we have big, beautiful kelp forests. So marine CDR would work great here, but it's not going to work well on the east coast, and that's also not going to work well inland. So I think it has to be context specific, country specific, province specific, also with Africa and, the politics in the different countries and, the inequalities that we have. Um, these questions were very interesting, but also very difficult to answer because, you know, each one would work in a different place, just depending on which context you're thinking about. So that's just my thought. Thank you very much.
Maybe a follow-up question, Sarika. Since you're saying you're coming from South Africa, you're based in South Africa, what do you think is most relevant for your country, or maybe because we're talking also about opportunities. So opportunities for entrepreneurship, opportunities like to explore some of these techniques. What do you think, from your opinion and maybe knowledge, will work in your country?
I think the best way to move forward with any big project is to have a transdisciplinary approach where you have people from government and also people working on the land. If you're thinking about something like forestry, or you're thinking about something like um, uh, ocean CDR, having those different people in the room to decide what's better would be great. I mean, we have a large coastline, and we have a beautiful kelp forest. So ocean would work well on the West Coast. But then also we have large open spaces, like pretty much like the rest of Africa, that would do well for agroforestry. But yeah, I think it's a very difficult question to answer.
Thank you so much for your comment, for speaking freely, and also for giving your thoughts in the discussion. Yes, Kwesi.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam, for the presentation. So I think my comment would be that for the first question, I think it could be a multiple of choices for the solution. As Sarika rightly pointed out, we need to make some feasibility studies. And as Africans, yeah, we could capitalize with the large land resources that we have. And then the point is, do you have money to engineer? That's the other question. Because when it comes to funding, Africa Union is much more feeble in that sense. And I think we could actually capitalize on this if we could raise money in-house to sort of fund some of these things, because in the end, we are going to offset this carbon and other people in the global north may even pay for it. So we still need to do that feasibility studies and not take the lazy way out that we have the land to be able to do that. And then on the second question, I also think that it could be multiple pathways as well. It doesn't really necessarily have to be just one pathway for us to be able to capitalize on this. And it will also come back to how African governments also deal with these things. For instance, if South Africa has the means, they may go ahead and do some engineering. Whereas if Ghana does not have the means, Ghana can say, okay, we have some land to be able to donate towards this CDR market. And I think there are opportunities across all these options for other countries to also benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I just want to do a follow-up question. You said that these things need money. Do you think our only problem is money? If today you get $1 million to start something, and so money is no longer a problem. So do you think money is the only problem?
No, it's not the only problem, of course. I mean, even leadership is a problem, because if the money goes to the politicians, trust you, they have other important things in their minds that they want to take care of other than CDR markets. So that is one of the things. It could also be infrastructure. If we want to set up these engineering sites to do carbon sequestration, for instance, are we able to sort of get the engineers to do it? Do we have to bring people from global north to come and help us do it? So it's a complex issue. It's not just I just maybe simplified it by saying money, but it's a complex issue of infrastructure, capacity, and leadership as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That was very you thought well about the answer. Thank you for answering, Kwesi. Yes, Anis.
Thank you, Mariam. I'm loving the conversation, and I think I'm very grateful to the two speakers, the initial speakers, and Kwesi's input as well. I think it brings a lot of dimensions to the conversations. So I want to really answer this from an honest point of view, that which of the pathways economically has the economic potential for Africa. Honest answer would be the hybrid. Now, hybrid because, of course, in near term, if you are talking about near-term economic impact, because 60 to 80% of African employment sits in agriculture, mostly the smallholder, then the hybrid, the biogen and agroforestry flocks directly into the economy. That is no doubt. However, MBS at scale, even it has the weakest economic unit. If you are looking at its potential, the credit as it stands now is around $5 to $15 per ton. That's MBS. So if you really are talking about economic value, then it's really the weakest On the side of marine, we all know that marine, we are bordered by ocean, and we can brag of the 30,000 plus kilometer of coastline, just not in Africa, but globally. And if you are measuring the per ton unit credit, it's selling around 200 to 500 plus USD as compared to the 5 to 15. But that really looks at a long-term economic impact. So for near term, we would say MBS or the hybrid system. But for long term, I would say marine. However, the question here is what Kwesi brought onto the table, right? Marine science capacity is concentrated in global north. MRV requires research vessels, monitoring infrastructure, what. This is a real conversation that needs to be had. Are we ready to launch into the system to build leadership to be able to have this conversation, proper conversation, and say, even at this scale, the continent, Africa, is willing to be at the level where the global north has got into in terms of even research, in terms of MRV, because if at the end of the day, the credits are generated, who sells them? Who does the money goes to? Who develops the system, the verification and monitoring and whatnot? So this is the dichotomy of the issue. If you're talking about a near-term impact, then of course the hybrid works. But long-term, which I believe sits as or becomes the bedrock of this conversation, then it's marine, no doubt. But the main conversation now becomes the social license, the engagement, everything that has to do with governance and frameworks, everything that has to do with leadership, African leadership at that level, to make sure that systems are built not just for us, but by us or with us in that regard to benefit us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anis. That was very thoughtful and elaborate, I would say. And I also have a question for you, since you stopped at governance. I want, because in my talk, I hardly touched on governance. I want to ask you, how important is governance and engagement in, how important is it in this CDR initiative?
Thank you, Marion. I think it becomes the bedrock, the foundation of the conversation. Without the governance, conversations around this would not progress anywhere, or would just be one of the many conversations that's just had because somebody needs to talk about it. But progressively, for CDR, any kind of CDR to progress. Now, what is the essence of CDR generally? It's just to be able to cut down reduce the amount of carbon dioxide within the atmosphere, right? That's CDR. But doing that, there's an element of trade that helps people who are doing this to get money. So that's where the economic impact, or that's where the employment tips in. But to do this, we need regulations to tell who gets, or to tell what somebody deserves. If a farmer is able to cultivate seaweed that is able to sequester carbon at a certain point, how do we make sure that the farmer is not cheated, basically? Then we should have foundations that guide such conversations. And that is why this conversation is one of the most significant conversations that can never be overlooked within the subject. I don't know, I hope this helps. It's very long and complex, but I hope just my 2 cents help. Over to you, Mary.
What you mentioned is very important. And I would like to also hear views from Bashir. Bashir is the founder of Stack Carbon. I can see he's here with us. And maybe you can, Bashir, tell us, since you're already in this business, what are the hurdles when it comes to governance or market, or mostly the things we've discussed here? If you're able to speak, yes.
Yeah, sure. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. And thank you for joining.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invite. Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Bashir, and thank you, Dr. Mariam, for the invite. And yeah, I should say when it comes to governance, I think the whole continent, is, this being a new market, because I think everywhere, not just Africa, but even even in the global north, there are a lot of, policies still, under discussion, and also seeing how this can be implemented on a broader scale. We have been seeing, things like, incorporating CDR into the ETS, and these are all still conversations. And also, we have, especially the European countries leading on this, especially, Germany. And I think for when it comes to Africa here, I think it's a nascent market. And also, there's a lot, our governance has to learn. And also, I think this also has to come with also the technical capacity and also understanding of the market, because you can't, begin discussing policy on the market you don't quite well understand. So I think this will take, a lot of capacity building from the policy level and to, the community level down. And I think that way, it's when we can, I think, have discussions on, what works for the market and for the people participating in the market, when I think everyone has a better understanding of how this market works, how it operates, and how it should benefit everyone. Yeah, I think that's my short take on that.
Thank you so much. And also, maybe I should give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about your company, Stack Carbon.
Yeah, Stack Carbon, we are basically a climate tech startup, and we focus more on carbon removal projects that, don't just remove carbon, but also, work to as well regenerate, the soil. And we work with smallholder farmers in Uganda, Madagascar, and we have run pilots on enhanced rock weathering, and which have been successful. And now we're into the scaling phase. And I would say, we are also doing biochar, and I think we will be launching, the first industrial facility, the biggest industrial facility here in Uganda, and I think even in Africa, because it will be the first of its kind. That will be like the first quarter of next year. And we'll be doing that in collaboration with a Chinese company called Pyro Green. And also, we're also working with an Australian company called GridShare. Yeah, thank you. I think that's an overview.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining and for talking in this session. I know I ambushed you, and we can proceed. I would like to also invite Athi, if you can hear me, because I know you work with Carbon to Seize initiative, and one of the things that were mentioned here today is that most people don't see potential in marine CDR. If you're able to give comments, please, we'll appreciate.
Sure. And thanks, Mariam. Thanks, everyone, for having me. This has been really interesting. I thought, I think the comment that Sarika made was quite on point in terms of the difference in different places. And also there was a comment around the timing of when the economic benefit and also the climate benefit is available. And I think one thing we have learned at Carbon to Sea with marine methods is that there is a barrier to entry around understanding what the technology is and how it works, and building all of the scientific basis around that, which I know you've contributed a lot of work towards. And so there's both the work of building awareness as well as understanding sort of the long-term efficacy and safety of that approach.
Thank you so much. And I didn't give you a heads up that I'm going to ask you a question. Sorry about that. But thank you so much for answering.
My
So
pleasure.
this was such a great discussion, and I'll move on with the presentation. So what opportunities are there in tech and MRV innovation for CDR? So how can we leverage on AI or IoT sensors and MRV? And what are people doing at the moment in African countries as far as MRV is concerned? So this is I highlighted two companies. There's Bumitra. Bumitra also works with smallholder farmers, and they're using satellite AI to empower smallholder farmers in Africa. And they have managed to remove more than 300,000 carbon tons of carbon dioxide in Kenya alone. So they're making revenue from soil carbon capture, and they're using technology. Why I shared this is because for the people in tech, you don't need to center your company on the CDR technique only, but also the supporting industries, like how you leveraging AI, how are we making use of AI technology to come up with solutions that will support the CDR industry. Smart Saha is an emerging company. It's based in Madagascar, and they are also using AI, satellite imagery, and IoT sensors to monitor real-time or to get real-time data. And this also helps in MRV is important for transparency, because monitoring, reporting, and verification. How do you know how much carbon dioxide you're removing? And how much you're removing, where is it going? How do you verify that it is from your technique that the carbon dioxide is being removed? So this, the use of technology has really made it easy for people in this industry to do their work. This is just data on the projections of markets for the different CDR techniques, and based on that, I would like to ask you to answer another poll. What is the biggest hurdle for African startups as far as CDR is concerned? Is it registry, regulatory, VC, technical? Where is the gap? Can you please share the poll, Elijah?
Yes, we shall share shortly. We are on it.
So you're sharing.
Allow
So
us a minute to
okay,
figure it.
okay, yes, okay.
But you can proceed as we bring the next poll, because it is in a different poll from the ones we had displayed.
Okay, no worries. So they take some of the barriers. There's the issue of limited funding that goes into African countries. There's need for tech expertise who are in their own locality. Need for MRV to ensure that the carbon capture and storage is long term and it's verified, it's real, and like I said before, it builds trust. There's that's the issue of regulatory barriers and safety issues or issues of concern, like weak regulations or lack of policies that either support this or regulation that guide people, especially yeah, I'm talking about African countries, difficult to meet carbon credit standards, transparency gaps in the market, and there's that issue of environmental risk. People are afraid. They don't know what will happen if some of these techniques are deployed. So are you ready, Elijah, with the poll? Because the poll is related to that.
So we're having a little bit of technical difficulty on our end. It's still displaying the previous polls even when we try to move it to this next one.
Okay, no worries.
So
Maybe
maybe you can
people
just proceed.
oh, there it is. Thank you.
Dr. Maria, maybe we can also display the slide
Oh, with the poll?
with the poll, yeah. Well, audience, let's keep the polls coming. Let's keep voting. Even if you do not know, take a guess in terms of what feels right. Let's just have you participating. We're ending soon, no worries. So let's just take a poll for now. Right, we have more people. We have about 9 people having participated so far. Let's have at least one more answer, and then we will go to display. Dr. Mariam, when you want to see the results, you will let us know. You're on mute, we can't hear you.
I think you can share if people have finished.
Okay.
So this is interesting. Most people are saying the issue is technical MRV. The registry gap comes close second to VC access, venture capital access. So anyone would like to say something about the answer that they chose? Yes, Bashir.
Yeah, thanks again, Dr. Mariam. So I think I think when it comes to the poll, I think I selected the VC gap. I think the VC access, because I would say from my own perspective and my own experience, we have a team. I usually work with a team that has the technical expertise. Whether it comes to MRV, whether it comes to the execution, project design and implementation and stuff like that. And I think for us, what has been our biggest hurdle has been accessing financing, especially when you look into what other startups just like what we are doing here with the kind of traction that we have compared to other startups, say maybe in the global north. There's a bigger chance of them receiving easily accessing financing compared to African startups, and even the VC landscape here, just like I mentioned, is even still struggling to understand how the carbon markets work and stuff like that. So it's also a risk for them to literally invest in startups like ours, because for them, first of all, they don't understand the market, so it will be risky for them. Secondly, them also, I think looking into investing in something that is not a tangible asset. We are literally working with intangible assets, so it's kind of tricky. And right now you'll find that most of the startups that are actually raising in Africa, they're not actually talking to the VCs in Africa, they're actually talking to the VCs out of Africa, because these are the people that understand the market, these are the people who have invested before in the market. And I think that's where the gap is. And when you look at the financing coming into Africa, whether it's through VC, whether it's through philanthropy or what, related to projects like ours, it's still minimal, less than 1% or so. So yeah, I think that's my take on that.
For you, especially, it's from experience being in the industry. I guess those are I think the biggest challenge. I remember when we were at the Africa CDR Summit, some of the people there were complaining that MRV, like getting a lab locally to analyze your samples and get it verified is not possible. Maybe could you say something about that? Is it a problem you're facing as well?
Well, I think when it comes to MRV, I think that also depends on the standards set by the registry you're working with. Mm-hmm. In terms of which kind of lab they want to work with, how what are the accreditations of the lab? Are they looking for an ISO certified lab or something like that? So they look into all these things. So I think for us, I would say on our end, we have been working with a local lab, and also we have also been liaising with a South African lab as well, just to make sure we have everything right. But I would say it also goes back to to capital. That when you have the capital, it doesn't. You can still work with the lab. Whether it's in SA, whether you need to send samples somewhere else. So it all goes back there. But I think when it comes to MRV, I think the lab issue is crucial, because they set standards, and I think labs here as well need to take an initiative to be accredited, so we don't move money out of Africa or out of our countries to just go and have a sample validated somewhere else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for answering. And I also agree with you. Capital is key. It's very important to have substantial capital to be able to move your work. Anybody else would like, thank you, Bashir. Anybody else would like to comment on their answer? Or add to what has been discussed? I don't know why I'm not able to see other people. Oh, okay. Okay, so I think I'll go on with the presentation because we're almost done. It's 6 here. So, sorry about that. So the other thing is what is the way forward? We already know Africa has potential, and based on the discussions and everything else, they still need for scientific work to be done, studies to be done, innovations in this space, good policy as well as funding. We need money to be able to do this. Actually, that was my last slide. And thank you so much for listening.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Mariam, for sharing. I will now ask if there is any question for Dr. Mariam. Please, let's have the questions, then we can wrap up the session. Let's have any question that might be, and then we can successfully wrap up the session. So, as you can see, we have been taken, of course, through some of the CDR methods and even looked into how they could possibly be used or how they could be employed in an entrepreneurial context. So we've been looking, of course, at innovation and entrepreneurship. We've learned of the various challenges that people are experiencing, including from practical business. And of course, we are trying to understand how is it that we can ensure that Africa is a global CDR hub. We've also gone through the various advantages that Africa has as a CDR hub. And of course, we've had your opinions in regards to what works best, what fails us, what advantages we have, what disadvantages we have. And my hope is that as we've listened to that lesson, we've been learning and we understand at this point better than when we started how Africa is a global CDR hub when it comes to innovation and entrepreneurship. So I'm just waiting to see your questions. I will allow questions. If there is no questions, we were going to wrap it up. I see there's some messages, but I'm not seeing a question. All right. Then great. All right. Thank you so much then for joining us. If there is not necessarily a question, then we can just get your comments. How has the session been? I hope you have been learning. I will then hand over the session back to Dr. Mariam, who is going to wrap it up before we all call it a day.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, Emerging Climate Frontiers, this was a very good and important session. I also learned a lot from the discussions we had, and I would like to appreciate the people who made time to join this session. I'd like to thank Bashir Dan for, I think I told him once, and I asked him again today if I can highlight his company, and he said it's okay, and he also joined. So I really appreciate you for doing that, and all the people who participated in this. We hope to have more discussions like this. And also tomorrow we are having a webinar that's focused on marine CDR and the work that we are doing to to introduce and to also make marine CDR possible in African countries. I hope you'll be able to join in that session as well. So good morning, good evening, good night, depending on where you are. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Mariam, for that session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for engaging in the discussions. Thank you for engaging in the polls. This webinar would not be a success without each and every one of you. So thank you for joining us. Please keep following our events page on our website so that you can see every time we have another session. Some of them might be close to you in terms of there might be physical sessions, so please feel free to join those. And of course, there's a number of sessions that we will be having online, which means you can join us from anywhere in the world. So thank you for joining us. Once again, depending on where you are at, have a great day ahead. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening. And for those who might be joining us from I think from the Far East, then have yourself a good night. All the best, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.